According to the Rizal of Isaac Luria, the month of Nisan, the formation of the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, the Hey, is in direct formation. So you have Yud, then a Hey, then a Vav, and then a Hey. That's one important idea to understand. Another important thing is that the word Nisan means Nes, means miracle. Now the Arizal also teaches that on Tishrei is Hayom Hara Solam, which means that the world becomes pregnant. We're pregnant with an idea. And the month of Nisan is the month of birth. Now, Nisan generally comes out in the beginning of spring. And the consciousness that people feel in the spring is that the flowers are budding, the sun is out longer, it's becoming warm, people are full of hope, full of newness, full of excitement, and like a new zest for life. That idea of the consciousness of spring is something that's given to us. It's not something that we work on. We don't work on creating spring. Spring is a gift that's given to us. What happens in terms of the Exodus from Egypt, and that's the story of Nisan, the great story of the Exodus on Passover, is that the nation of Israel is entrapped in Egypt. And then they're given a gift of redemption. Not that they work on their redemption, but halalu, and they're given a gift that they can go out of Egypt. On Nisan, the month of Nisan, we're given the gift of newness. That we're given a gift that we can start things again with a new freshness. But the main idea of Nisan is that we can't just sit back and say, okay, we received the gift. But in order for the gift to become real, we have to try to live out that gift in real time, in real space, in our own lives. So we accept the gift that's given to us. We're thrust into redemption. We're stuck in our exile, and then the winter's over, and all of a sudden everything's beautiful. I feel the newness, but what am I going to do about it? Am I just going to ride the high and say, okay, it's beautiful, I love it, it's great weather, and I'm really excited about the potentials of the summer? Or am I going to actually translate it into my own life, into real inner work? If I just allow it to pass, and I just ride the high, then it's like a miracle. A miracle is something that's beautiful when it occurs, but the moment it's over, it disappears, and it's not lasting. It lifts us up. Literally, the word miracle means nes, which is the root words of the word Nisan, which is the month of Nisan, is nes, which means it lifts us up, but it doesn't put us in that stage. It just lifts us up for a moment. It gives us a new way of seeing things, and it drops us back down to the state that we're at before. The trick, or the tikkun of Nisan, is that when we're on our high, because life is so beautiful, and the spring is coming, and we're celebrating Passover, and there's redemption, there's birth, but to look from that perspective that we're high now and say, okay, what am I going to do with this high? How am I going to live that high in my real time? So the month of Shevat is connected to the sense of taste, tasting food, and the letter that's connected with this month is the letter Tzadik, which means a righteous person, literally. And it says Tzadik ochel l'sova nafsho, Tzadik eats to satisfy himself, which means, Kabbalistically, that the difference between someone that's a Tzadik, an elevated person, or not, is someone that gains satisfaction from food. And I'll try to explain this in a second. Another thing that's connected with this month is the holiday of the 15th day of Shevat, Tu B'Shvat, which is a celebration of the beginning of the fruit year, and it's tradition that we eat different types of fruits on that day. So there are two types of eating. There's two types of foods that we eat. There's necessity foods that we eat because of necessity, let's say bread or something that we have to eat. And then there are foods that we eat for delight, for pleasure. And not necessarily these two things align. Sometimes we eat foods for necessity and they're not delightful, and sometimes delightful foods are actually something that we don't need and shouldn't have. The idea of positive eating. Shevat is connected with a tikkun, a tikkun, which means a transformation, a rectification of the event that occurred in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve ate from the tree. So a tikkun for that occurs on Tu B'Shvat. And let me just try to explain this. There are two ways a person can eat. Sometimes we eat, and whether it's pleasure food or satisfactory food, sometimes we eat non-consciously. We just eat because the food is in front of us, but we're not conscious of what we're doing. And we're not really conscious with the connection that we have with this food. And therefore we eat, and then 5 minutes later we're still hungry because we never really connected with the food on a deep level. When a person makes a blessing and connects with the energy of the food and recognizes that this food gives him sustenance, or gives her sustenance, and relates to the food in a way that before something comes into the mouth, they think about it for a moment, they make a blessing, and they become conscious of what they're eating, then the relationship with the food is much deeper. First of all, you feel the sense, you taste the food, and the sense is connected with taste, the month is connected with taste, so you sense the taste in your mouth, the food tastes better, and it actually satisfies you. A tzaddik means somebody that's conscious of life. When you're conscious of life, you eat less, not because you starve, because you don't need as much food as most people eat, because most people eat on impulse. The idea of Shevat is furthering this idea of a relationship to the physical. We have the winter months, we're saying, is connected with the body, like the month of Tevet, which said is connection with people. The idea of Shevat is now to extend the parameters of connectedness, not just with people, but also with things. That we should have a healthy relationship with things in our life, not just with people. We can have a healthy relationship with people and really encounter them as a real human being, and then we relate to things as just things, and we just eat them and consume them. The month of Shevat is a tikkun for that, a rectification to just relate to things as things, but to relate to things as actually something that is connected with our soul. If we eat something, if we're attracted to a particular type of food, it's because there's a relationship between us and that food. And when we relate to it on the soul level, we receive much more satisfaction, and in fact, only gain satisfaction from that type of eating. And that's the tikkun of the month of Shevat. So it's to extend the parameters of connectedness, not just with people, but also things, and have healthy relationships with things, not just to relate to them as objects, but relate to them as soul connections that we have, connected with us, and therefore we can elevate them, and they elevate us, and we have a connection with them.